The Prado was equipped with 2 petrol engines and 1 turbo diesel. Officially, gasoline versions were supplied to us, and gray dealers mainly imported just such modifications, so SUVs with diesel engines are rare. Cars of the first years of production were equipped with a 2.7-liter gasoline unit, which was used on its predecessor, and after 2004, a more modern engine of the same volume appeared with variable valve timing systems VVTi and ignition systems with individual coils, which made it possible to increase its power by 10 horses. According to experts, turbo diesels with a 3.0-liter common rail system are reliable. They digest domestic diesel fuel without any problems. Another advantage is fuel efficiency. In the urban cycle, they consume 12 to 13 liters per 100 kilometers. But their gasoline counterparts are real gluttons: 16 liters, 2.7 liter, and 18 liters, 4.0 liter. By the way, the considerable fuel consumption of the smaller engine is partly due to the fact that this engine is rather weak for a 2-ton SUV, and for normal driving it has to be constantly twisted. There are no serious problems with gasoline engines either, unless the 4.0-liter engine has leaks in the front crankshaft oil seal. During operation, both gasoline engines require regular cleaning of the injectors, the 2.7-liter engine on average every 50,000 kilometers, and the 4.0-liter engine after 20 to 30,000 kilometers. Contamination of the fuel injectors in the first one manifests itself as failures when accelerating, while in the second one it manifests itself as unstable operation at idle speed. The timing belt of these motors uses a reliable metal chain. The turbo diesel is equipped with a belt, which, however, also lasts a long time. It changes along with the rollers and tensioner every 150,000 kilometers. According to factory recommendations, valve thermal clearances should be checked every 100,000 kilometers, although in practice they are adjusted only when repairing the cylinder head. I have good news for you. Now, if you are planning to buy a used car, or learn more about your car, you no longer need to search for the information you need on the internet. We have collected everything in one place for you, on the website carme.pro. Here you can find out everything about the car, what breaks and at what mileage, any problems with engines, chassis or gearboxes, which trim levels are better not to mess with, and how not to lose money buying a used car. You will learn all this on carme.pro. 5-door versions of the Prado come in 5 and 8-seater versions. In the trunks of the latter there are 2 hanging chairs designed for 3 people. With the third row folded down, the cargo area is very small, just 192 liters. Prado is equipped with a transmission with permanent all-wheel drive. The Torsen mechanical center differential divides the torque in a ratio of 40 to 60, and in case of slipping, changes the ratio from 29 to 71 to 53 to 47. If necessary, it can be blocked. The transfer case with a reduction gear and long travel suspension significantly increases the off-road capabilities. The functions of interwheel diff locks are simulated electronically, breaking a slipping wheel. However, this option is the prerogative of more expensive versions with 4.0L and 3.0L engines. Most Prados are equipped with an automatic transmission, for speed with a 2.7L engine and 5-speed with a 4.0 and 3.0L engine. Mechanics is rare, so the specifics of its operation are unknown to specialists. However, they have no complaints about automatic transmissions either. These gearboxes are very reliable and can withstand increased loads off-road. Just don't forget that every 40,000 kilometers the transmission requires maintenance, changing the lubricant in the gearbox, transfer case and rear axle. If the spare tire hangs on the back door, over time, due to the large weight, its hinges sag and the door does not close well. Hinges need to be replaced. In the steering system, tie rods are replaced every 60 to 70,000 kilometers, and their ends last a very long time. The weak points of the suspension are the bushings of the front and rear stabilizers, which last 40 to 50,000 kilometers. Due to the salt on the roads, the branded alloy wheels and radiator grille rust, the chrome coating peels off. Body position, height, sensors, which often fail on salted winter roads. A new spare part costs about $200. Long suspension strokes provide the Prado with a very comfortable and soft ride, which is especially important for our roads. However, the disadvantage of this setting is the rolliness. When cornering at high speeds and sharp braking, the car rolls and nods, so active driving is not a pleasure. The more expensive versions with shock absorbers that change the degree of stiffness are not particularly different in this regard. Even in the most clamped position, the car still has the same soft reactions. Such shock absorbers were used on Prados equipped with rear air suspension. It allows you to change the 220 mm ground clearance at the rear, raising the stern to 250 mm or lowering it to 190 mm. By the way, since only the rear is equipped with pneumatics, this option does not particularly improve the off-road capabilities of the model. At the same time, it can give the owner headaches. Adjustable shock absorbers can become unusable by 90 to 100,000 kilometers, and they are not cheap. Another weak point is the body position, height, sensors, which cannot withstand our salty winter roads and often fail. After off-road rides, it is necessary to clean the air suspension compressor filter. If this is not done, the load on the compressor increases and it may fail. The rear axle is a reliable and strong unit. The rubber bands of the rods have not yet had to be changed. The weak points of the chassis with a front double wishbone suspension are the wheel bearings. The right one lasts 60 to 70,000 kilometers, and the left one lasts about 100,000 kilometers. Moreover, when replacing them, you also need to update the seals of the external grenades, otherwise the new bearing will not last long. Stabilizer bushings are replaced every 40 to 50,000 kilometers, ball joints last for about 150,000 kilometers, and the silent blocks of the levers, as a rule, have to be changed due to souring of the adjusting eccentrics and the inability to set the camber of the front wheels. Therefore, mechanics advise lubricating the eccentrics with each such adjustment. In a steering system equipped with variable power steering, the tie rods are changed every 60 to 70,000 kilometers. By 80 to 100,000 kilometers, the steering shaft cardan often begins to knock. On cars that drive fast, the front brake discs often become deformed. To avoid problems with the parking, drum, brake, it is recommended to clean and lubricate its drive mechanism every 40,000 kilometers. Soft suspension with long strokes, permanent all-wheel drive, reduction gear, center differential lock and electronic wheel lock simulators, this is the Prado's off-road arsenal. Prado bodies are distinguished by good immunity to the red disease. The manufacturer even gave a 10-year guarantee against through corrosion. It's not enough to have the money to buy a used Prado. The future owner needs a consistently high income to maintain and repair this model. In return, the SUV will give you confidence on any road, high cross-country ability and decent comfort. However, for those who prefer active driving, Prado is contraindicated. We advise them to take a closer look at other SUVs. Over time, Europeans lose their posture, leaning to the left. The reason is the wear of the cushions between the frame and the body, which bear additional load from the fuel tank suspended under the bottom on the left. Treatment: metal spacers under the pillows. Owners often complain about the rather weak light of the front optics. The problem is largely solved by installing lamps with increased luminous efficiency or xenon. Experts note that the Prado's sound insulation is of very high quality, so its interior is one of the quietest among other Toyota models. Many cars are well equipped, leather, full power accessories, including adjustment of both front seats, climate and cruise control, servo steering wheel, airbag, active safety systems, exchange rate stabilization, traction control and anti-lock braking systems. However, there are shortcomings in the ergonomics of the gallery due to the narrow doorway at the bottom. When getting out of the car you often touch the door card with your toe. And when driving over 200,000 kilometers, the locks of the mechanism for changing the angle of the rear seat backrests break and knock. Thanks to the high seating position and large glass area, visibility is very good, except that in a side view the left A-pillar catches your eye, although it doesn't really spoil the picture. There's not too much room for 3 people in the back, but there's enough headroom and up to the backs of the front seats even for tall people.